So one component is the health policy. You have at first, before you start, to have an idea of your policy and to make a policy statement about the strategic goals. I will come back to these strategic goals a little bit later. You should find a clear name for your strategy. So for instance, we have a clear name for the PATHE project or for the SALTE project. And also the program message behind this name. You have to explain it. The process of planning has to be developed before. The concept for internal implementation. And that's in a sport organization. It's not so easy. I come back to this point later on when I speak about our experience to implement this strategy into your organization. And also you have to take into account the evaluation procedures. To follow up what is going on, how far you have come, where is the weakness, and so on. The evaluation. Another point, I already talked a little bit about the health intervention approaches. You have to be clear about your approach. Here it's a little bit more differentiated. I don't want to disturb you with the differentiation between the health sport approach and the fitness sport approach or the healthy club setting approach. It's more sophisticated differentiation in the field of the health exercise programs. So forget that. Have in mind the two main approaches I explained before. Then it comes to the product development. You have to offer products in your strategy. You have to develop this exercise programs. Or exercise programs, or campaigns and projects, information and teaching material, club consultation to support clubs to go this way, quality marks, it can be added some more. So the products you have to offer in your strategy is very important. The organizational and working structure, the internal working system, positions and functions for the health enhancing perspective. It's our experience. You need specific functions for that. You cannot include it with all the other functions you have in your organization. So the internal working system, positions, the communication system, and also external cooperation. I don't want to go in this field. Here on this side, a very basic element. You can develop products, exercise programs, but you need people, persons, to offer these programs. So in this kind, you need the human resources qualification. Qualified instructors, but also qualification of leadership. So for instance, people who take over these positions and functions in these fields has to be qualified, and also managing qualification, to manage the whole system on the umbrella level and also on the lower level if it comes to communities or to special clubs. So I think this is a very important thing, and also on the other hand here you have another element, lobbyism and marketing, political lobbyism, public relations, fundraising, networking with other stakeholders. I think it's not necessary to go into details here. I wanted to make you aware that to develop a strategy for health enhancing activities in sport associations is a complex matter. It's not only related to one point of these elements. I will come back a little bit to the strategic objectives. You remember one element was to develop, to have in mind the strategic objectives. And one important thing is to take a stand and create an image to become acknowledged as a competent and powerful partner with regard to health promotion inside and outside the sports system. I know what I'm talking about in this project, because sport associations are not very well accepted, not very well recognized with their health perspective inside the sports system. For instance, if you think on the elite sport, top performance sport, they have no idea, no interest. So you have to try to find a stand, create an image to become a partner. And also, and this might be more difficult outside the sports system, when you go to the health system, to the political side and so forth. So that is for me, it's a very important strategic objective. And then this is more the external objective. The internal is to profile member clubs for being able to contribute to the well-being of communities, to encourage and also to enable your clubs, sport clubs, to go this way, to make fundraising for health-enhancing products easier, to encourage and to qualify clubs to provide, that's the same as I explained, and to monitoring approval, compliance and commitment from leaders inside the association in almost all subdivisions. I will come back to this objective later on when I talk about our experience in my federation. Just coming back to this health enhancing, to this first point, health intervention approaches. Just a short remark on this. I explained already that you have to make a clear decision which approach you will take. In our experience, the easiest and usual way for a sport association is to start with a general physical activity approach, and then afterwards to go for the physical exercise approach. This approach can be differentiated further on in the fitness approach and the health sport approach, or at least this is just what we are going in my federation, to extend both approaches to a club setting approach, to include the whole setting of a club, a differentiated club with performance sport and all other kinds of sport, multi-sportive club, in this health perspective. That is the next and most difficult thing to do. But be aware, start the way as you can. Do it with a general health enhancing approach, and then step by step further on the others. So some principles setting this strategy. I already tried to explain that it should be holistic. The strategy needs a multidimensional procedure. Different components need to be coordinated. This total picture you have seen. Systematically. The concept must be systematically developed. That means a number of elements have to be put together in an overall system by a recognizable logic. On a long-term basis, you will not be able to develop such a systematic strategy just on your table. You have to be aware that it is a long-term project concept, and as this second line is very substantial, it has to be orientated at the basic conditions and the resources of your organizations, the human resources and also the financial resources. Step by step, it's also an important principle for a systematic approach. The concept has to be realized with reference to existing resources and the readiness for conversion step by step. Small steps, not too big, not too high steps. Too vigorous procedures and too excessive demands should be avoided. It will be disappointing when you go too fast and you overload your own organization with your too ambitious strategies. Continuously. That's often we have not time enough, and we are a little bit what is it in English? In a hurry, or we try to do it too fast. Continuously, it's very important. It requires constant impulses to receive and to strengthen the readiness for cooperation and communication. Interactively. This is such a systematic strategy is not be able to done only top down. It's also a procedure from bottom up. So you have to take into account both variables. Effective and evidence-based strategy should take into account regular evaluation procedures. Interim results should give reason for revision. Those are, in my mind, some important principles for setting this strategy. I will give you some remarks on our experience in my federation with 20 years involvement in health-enhancing physical exercise, mainly exercise programs. The general concept of health-enhancing physical activities as a segment of sport for all has a longer tradition in my organization. DTB has developed the biggest part of its activities since the first boom of the sport for all development beginning in the early 70s. This was the first boom of the sport for all development. But an important step in developing the health concept, more specific in sport for all, was when we started to implement special health-enhancing exercise programs in the middle of the 80s. This was our starting point in this perspective. And the section of health-enhancing programs, you can say, has become a real success story in my association. You can see it here with some figures. 72%